In today's video, we're going to be using HTML and CSS code to create this simple photo gallery web page. Now there's 8 images in this photo gallery, and I've just taken them straight off Google Images. You can use more or less images if you would like in your gallery. It's up to you. But I think for the tutorial's sake, stick with the 8 images and just get an idea of how it actually works before adjusting the size of the gallery. Alrighty, so let's get started today by popping over to our accounts and making a new folder here called Photo Gallery. Inside of that photo gallery, you just need an images folder, and in the images folder, you've got the images you would like to include in your gallery. Okay, so there's the 8 images that I've flogged there off Google Images. Alright, so once you've got those 2 folders set up and all your 8 images across copied over, you are ready to get started in brackets. So get into brackets now and make yourself a new document. From here, you just want to go to File and Save As before you start typing anything. And you want to navigate your way back to your photo gallery folder that you just made. And you want to be saving that in there as gallery.html. Remember, we put the .html extension on the end of the file name just so the computer knows we've made a web page. Click Save and you are ready to go with your HTML coding. Alrighty, so to get started today, we'll put in our usual doc type HTML tag at the top, just to say that we're making a HTML document. From here, we'll stick in our HTML tags. Now I'm going to put in lang equals en. Remember, we started doing this in recent tutorials, just to say to the computer that we are making a web page with a language of English. Okay, and when you actually upload your web pages to the actual internet or to the web, this will boost your search results as Google is looking for pages with English as the language. Okay, so it will help you improve your search results and appear higher up in Google search rankings. Alright, from here we're going to put in our head section next, and inside the head section we'll add in a title. And our title today is just going to say Photo Gallery. And that's our title and head section done for now. We will be back later to link up a style sheet, but let's not worry about that yet. And let's get the body section sorted. So open up your body tags, and inside the body tag, we might just put in a H1 heading to start with that says Photo Gallery. If we save that up and hit our preview button, we can get a preview of how our web page is looking so far. So here's our H1 heading we just put in, and there's our title up the top there. Heading back to brackets, we'll keep going. Now what we're going to do with these images when we put them in is we're going to make it look like they're in a table made up of 2 rows and 4 columns, but they're not actually in a table. Okay, we just use some CSS styling to make it look like that. Okay, it's got the nice neat layout, it's just not quite a table. Alright, so what we're going to use is div tags. Div tags are basically ways to divide up your page into different sections. Okay, so we're going to stick in a div tag to start with, and inside of this section we're going to add in another div tag. Okay, but this div tag is going to be a little bit different to the outer div tag that wraps around it. Okay, so we're going to have to give this one a class name, so a unique name, just to distinguish it from the other div tag. And we're going to call this one column. Oops, I forgot the equal sign there. Make sure you put div class equals column and close your pointy bracket. Okay, now as I said before, we're not actually making a table. We're going to make it look as if our images are inside a table. So remember, we've got 4 pretend columns. Okay, that's why I called this class column. What we're going to do is we're going to make the first column of our table here. Okay, or our make-believe table. And inside of our make-believe table, we're putting in an image. So put in your image source tag, look in your images folder, and select the first image. Close your pointy brackets, and that should be the first so-called column of your table. If we have a look, you can see we've got this picture, just a field of flowers at sunset there. So what we might do inside this image tag, as always, put in some alternate text. So alt equals, we'll just write field of flowers. Remember, just describing the image for those people who can't actually get images loading on their web page. Okay, it will come up with that text instead. So that's basically the first column of our table done. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy what I just put in. So this div class equals column and the image code there. copy that, and straight below it, paste it in again. Okay, so we've got a second one here, and all we need to change is where it says images1.jpg, change that number 1 to 2. Okay, and if you save that and have a look, you've now got 2 images in your page. This is an image of Monument Valley in the USA. So I'll just write Monument Valley for the alternate text just to describe it. Now we're going to do that 2 more times. So copy and paste that code in 2 more times and simply change the number of the image to 3 and the one below it to 4. Okay, and we'll just have to rename the alternate text here. If we just save that page and have a look, you can see we've got some silhouettes in the desert, and we've just got some snowy mountains, I suppose, in the springtime. So let's change this to desert silhouettes, and the 4th image there we'll just write springtime in the mountains. Right. And that there is basically the first make-believe row in our table with 4 different columns. Okay, you can't see it actually looking like a table yet because the images are too big and we haven't applied our CSS styling. But for now, that's how I want it to look. 4 images in one after the other. What we're going to do now is highlight all of that code we just put in, so from that opening div tag down to the closing div tag, and we're going to copy it. Then we're going to paste it. Okay, so we've got the same 4 images coming in again down here. And what we're going to do this time is just change the numbers to 5, 6, 7, and 8. And if we save that up, have a look, we've now got image 5, 6, 7, and 8. We just need to change the alternate text for these 4 images. Okay, so for this one here, number 5, we're just going to write in city skyline. For number 6 here, write tropical island. For number 7, what do we have? I think we had snow-capped mountains. And the last one there was just the stars in the night sky, so I might just write night sky for the alternate text. Okay, and that's pretty much it. So I'm just going to tidy up my HTML a little bit here. Bring a few tags closer together. Save it up and let's have a look. Let's see if we've got 8 images. Yep, all looking good. One last thing I want to do to this HTML is put in something called comments. Now we haven't really looked too much at comments before in previous videos. But basically comments are written into your code, but they're ignored by the computer. So the computer doesn't actually read it as code. Okay, it's just plain simple English that describes what's going on in our code. So I'll give you an example. Just above this first div tag here, I want to tell people that I'm making the first row in my so-called table. So I do a pointy bracket, an exclamation mark, and do 2 minus symbols or 2 dashes like that. I'll zoom in a bit here. And then we just write in our plain simple English that describes what's going on in the code. So I'm going to write in here, first row of the photo gallery. And I'll do 2 minus symbols and then close the pointy bracket. And you'll see that we've now got a grey comment. Okay, it's been greyed out by brackets because brackets doesn't actually read this. So this isn't going to appear in our web page. It's not going to affect our code in any way. It's just for people who get into our code and want to know what's going on. This will just explain what's going on in the code. I'm going to copy that, and then down here above the second section, I'm going to paste it in and just change the word first to second, and it will be the second row of the photo gallery. Okay, so it's good practice to include comments in your code just for those people who want to actually get into your HTML and your CSS and have a bit of a read of it. Okay, and try and work out what's going on. This will just clear things up for them. It's also handy for people who are updating their web pages constantly, so the developers can get inside the code and just go straight to a section and know what's going on. Alrighty, so if I save that, which I've done, had a look, you can see that the comments don't appear in the web page, so it's not affecting it in any way. So let's get over and do our CSS styling now. So I'm just going to go to File and New, and before we start typing, save as. I'll go and find that folder I just made today, the photo gallery folder, and give it the name style.css. Remember the .css on the end so the computer knows we're making a cascading style sheet. Alrighty, before we start typing up our styling, we might just link up these two documents. Okay, so in the gallery HTML file again, just underneath your title, write link rel equals style sheet in quotation marks, and then href equals style.css in quotation marks. Close the pointy bracket, save it up, and you've now got your HTML page linked to the style sheet. So let's head over to the style sheet and get working on it. It's not too much to style up here. First thing you want to do is just whack in a black background. So in the HTML tag, just write background and set it to black. Okay, that's a pretty simple, straightforward one. There's our black background. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into the body section, change our font family to sans serif. Now, as we've only got one line of text in that heading there today, we're not going to worry about any line height. Next thing I'm going to put in this body section though is I'm just going to set the margin to 0. Okay, and that's another one that's going to be hard to see right now. Basically, there's a real little margin that goes around the outside of the page. Okay, I just want to get rid of that. So now our images go right to the edge of the page. You'll also notice that our heading at the top here is gone. It's because it's got black text still. But if I just highlight it, you can see that it still appears. And there's our sans serif font. Okay, so we better style up that H1 heading so that it isn't black text and we can actually see it. So let's write in our H1 tags here. First of all, I might just change the font size to 3EM. It's 3 times its usual size. We'll change the text align to center so it's actually centered on our page. And we'll change the color to white. And that way we'll be able to see our H1 heading again. If we save him up and have a look, there it is. Alright, so kicking on. Next thing we're going to do is we're basically going to get our images now all styled up into this format. So it looks like it's in a table. Okay, so the way we do that is we're going to put in an asterisk. Now, we haven't used an asterisk before, but an asterisk basically selects every tag in your web page. Okay, so we're styling up everything here at the moment. And what we're going to write in is we're going to write in box sizing, and we're going to set it to border box. Okay, now that doesn't make a great deal of sense to me, but I'm told that will change the width and height properties, including the content, the padding, and the border. Okay, so what we're basically doing here is making little containers for each of these images to sit inside of. Okay, so it's not quite a table, but little containers that are going to hold these images. Okay, and when we change their values, we assume that we're changing the content, padding, and border all in one hit. Alright, so let's go down and we might start styling up the columns now. So remember, in the gallery here we had these classes called columns. Okay, let's style them up. So because we've got a class name, we have to put a full stop at the start and then write columns. Sorry. Open up our curly braces and we're going to write the word float and set it to left. That'll just push the images to the left of the page. We're going to set the container for the images to 25% width of the page. So the box that the images are going to sit inside of are going to be 25% of the page. Because we've got 4 of them, we'll take up a quarter of the page each. Okay, if I just save that and have a look, hopefully you can see what I'm talking about. Here we go. So we've now got 4 containers that each include an image, and they're taking up 25% width of the page. What we might also do is just put in some padding around each image. We'll put in 5 pixels. Now we probably can't see that effect just yet because the pictures are so big, so you can't actually see the padding between each one. Okay, but you can see it here between the 2 different rows we've got in our gallery. Okay, the rest of the padding will appear in a moment when I resize the images. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm just going to go down and make an image tag, and I'm going to set the width to 100%. So what that's going to do now is make sure that the image fits nicely inside the container and fills up 100% width of the container. We save it up now and have a look. You can see it looks a lot better. So those 4 containers I was talking about now have the 5 pixels of padding between them, and the images inside each container fill up 100% width of that container. You can see the whole image now. Alrighty, so that's basically it for our photo gallery. There's no more coding that you need to do. Remember, if you had numbers or numbers of photos in your photo gallery that weren't divisible by 4, you'd have to adjust this percentage here. Okay, so if you want to try and fit more on across the page or less across the page, you would have to work out the percentage out of 100. Okay, and that way your images would fit nice and neatly on the page. Alrighty, so hopefully I didn't confuse you too much with that. It was a fairly simple tutorial. I probably just made things a little bit harder than I should have when I explained that. But you can save it all up and you're done.